my daughter is only for this life. It's gone after that.
Relationship at the soul level is Mamaivam Jiva, that's it, or anything else?
How you serve Krishna. You may have your own family units serving Krishna also. Yeah. Just like you could be in the family of Madhu Mangal, so you could be his cousin or third cousin, something, and then you do some seva like that. But there are families in the spiritual. It's all, but all the families interested in only serving Krishna. Everybody's just thinking how to serve Krishna. Yeah, everyone's thinking how to serve themselves. So there's a difference.
Yeah, fundamentally, what is here is there in a pure form. Right?
Yes.
So the same type of activities, they say, similar.
All similar.
Yeah.
Just perverted here.
But it may not be exactly this family that we do with us.
Only spiritually, maybe. It's like you're attracted to your spiritual master a lot, and then, so it could be a permanent relationship in the spiritual world. He could be your best friend there in the spiritual world, but you're serving him. So that's how it is generally. Text 45.
किम्मेतेरात्मनस्तुच्छये सह देहेन नश्वरैः अनर्थैरर्थशङ्काश्रये नित्यानन्दरसोददेः.
All this paraphernalia is very near and dear as long as the body exists. But as soon as the body is destroyed, all things related to the body are also finished. Therefore, actually, one has nothing to do with them. But because of ignorance, one accepts them as valuable. Compared to the ocean of eternal happiness, they are most insignificant. What is the use of such insignificant relationships for the eternal living being? So, it's useless and insignificant. That's the bottom line. So we shouldn't be attached to the temporary things in this life. That's the main point. Text 46.
निरूप्यतामिह स्वार्थः कियान् देहभृतोऽसुराः निषेकादिष्वस्थासु क्लिश्यमानस्य कर्मभिः.
My dear friends or sons of the Asuras, the living entity receives different types of bodies according to his previous fruitive activities, means karma. Thus, he is seen to suffer with reference to his particular body in all conditions of life, beginning with his infusion into the womb. Please tell me, therefore, after full consideration, what is the living entity's actual interest in fruitive activities which result in hardship and misery? Again, he's asking a very good question. So Prabhupada says, in this world, for most people, the greatest pleasure, material pleasure they want is based on sex pleasure. And so he says to enjoy sexual pleasure and maintain the status quo of material life, one must work very hard. Because of such activities, one prepares himself another material body, which is what the Divya Drishti was saying, that trying to fix the problems in this life, you're trying to fix this, but in doing that, you're creating more reactions for future. So therefore, you're actually preparing for the next life. For example, you want to fix something. You may be sick, or your child may have some sickness, so you want to fix that. You go and see 100 doctors. They all say, sorry. But in your mind, you're thinking there's hope against hope. Something can be fixed. So that desire is in the heart, and it's not fulfilled. So it must be fulfilled somehow. So you have to come back again to fulfill that. You have a child that you see, they are healthy, I fix them. So every time you think something like that, it just propagates a next body. In a sense, it's created in your subtle body, with your mind and intelligence and your ego. So you carry that to the next life, plus the karma that is coming into play from previous lives.
This is very subtle. Even in her back of the mind also, we only have to think of Krishna, right? No other thought?
Ultimately, yes. So therefore, yeah, maybe your child gets sick, you want to cure them and think, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, after going to several doctors, you must come to the point and say, it's not going to work. I accept now. This child is going to have this sickness and I can't fix it. So then you approach Krishna and say, I've done everything I can, I leave him in your hand or leave her in my hand, and please don't put me into any anxiety. I know this is they're all going through different karmic reaction, and I want to understand nicely so I can continue serving. So that way, you're not continuously thinking of how to fix. And the opportunity arises, you try to fix it. Otherwise, you don't worry so much. It is difficult because we are attached to that person. So it's always continuously going to disturb us. But that's the reality we are seeing. So that's what Prahlad Maharaj is saying. He's saying full consideration, think carefully. What is your self-interest? So Prahlad Maharaj places this subject matter to his friends, the Asuras, for their consideration. Asuras generally cannot understand that the objects of sexual pleasure, the so-called pleasure of materialistic life, depend on extremely hard labor. So you work hard, next life same thing, work hard. Very difficult to be happy actually. Or more than what you have. It's easy to satisfy with what you have, but if you try to get what you don't have, thinking you'll be happy, actually you'll be not happy. Because it's the endeavor that causes more difficulties. Text 47.
कर्मण्याराभते देहि देहेनात्मानुवर्तिना कर्मभिस्तनुते देहम् उभयं त्वा अविवेकतः.
The living entity who has received his present body because of his past fruitive activity may end the results of his actions in this life, but this does not mean that he is liberated from bondage to material body. The living entity receives one type of body, and by performing actions with that body, he creates another. Thus, he transmigrates from one body to another through repeated birth and death because of his gross ignorance. The ignorance is he doesn't understand this is the problem. Even though he may have the result of his karma in this life, still because he is working hard to fix other problems, he's actually creating another material body, subtle body. So that's what Prabhupada is saying. So this thing happens automatically. It's by the will of the Lord, the law of the nature works automatically. And you cannot go and tweak it or cheat, which is what Hiranyakashipu is trying to do now. He's saying those who are pious will be punished, those who are impious will be promoted. So, but you find that the law of nature will reset itself and fix itself. So that's what it is, Prabhupada saying. Automatically by the laws of nature, in bodies other than those of human beings, you will have to go through. You will have to evolve into those things. And then evolution is your consciousness. Yes.
It said only at the time of death, whatever you think you become, but here it is at every time.
That is one aspect of it. It's not the whole thing. Generally, you think whatever at the time of death, what you really want all your life.
Yeah, so the mind is conditioned to the desires of
Yes.
happiness.
So that's what he means by it.
But then the desires also keep changing with time, right?
No, but there's one desire that will come very strongly. Push aside, say it's me. you're looking for me. And then you'll just think of that. Your mind is like that. So that's why you have to be Krishna conscious. Then only you'll think of Krishna. That's why you need devotees around chanting, and then you'll think, and you'll chant, and hopefully you get sufficient strength to purify before you give up your body.
Hearing this, I'm talking about myself. We are nowhere Krishna conscious. Nowhere,
Which is why in the beginning he says also you have to serve an authority with your heart in it. So even though you may lack the ability, Because of your sincerity, the Lord may give you the free pass for Six Flags.
He wants to go to Hollywood.
You get it? So that interference is by the mercy of the Guru and the Vaishnavas, by their blessing. So do your best and then hope for the rest.
And how important is chanting in all of this?
Most important, particularly in this age. You have to chant. Because the chanting will make you remember Krishna essentially. Yeah. The service will get you the mercy. So we need both. Right. So the whole point is you have a human life. He's telling his friends, don't misuse it. Otherwise, your consciousness will be at a lower level. If you have lower consciousness, next life you will have to take lower birth. But after it goes down, it has to come up. It's a cycle, and it's a natural cycle. You cannot stop that. So from a lower form, it comes to a higher form again, and eventually a human body. After 8.4 million species you go through. Only in the human form you can understand scriptures. You can't understand it in any other forms. And that's another reason why you don't waste your human form. Take up the process when you have the opportunity. So Prabhupada says, if after knowing this, he still continues to act like an animal, then what is the benefit of your human life? Right? So you have to evolve your consciousness. After human life, it has to go higher, the consciousness. If you don't, then it will go down. So misuse of human form of life is where you get a lot of reactions. Karma only takes place in a human form. It doesn't take place in the lower forms. So you have to understand consequences are there. You cannot blame anyone but yourself. Okay. So then Prabhupada continues, having received instructions from the spiritual master and the Shastra, one must be sufficiently intelligent. So it's not just enough to be intelligent. Sufficiently intelligent means you're going to act on it. So then he says, in the human form of life, one should not remain foolish and ignorant. That means you have the knowledge, you have the intelligence, and you still don't want to do it. Then you are in trouble. Don't remain foolish. Rather, you should inquire, what am I supposed to do? How to do it? Then let me do it. So he says, when one is wanting to do that, then he or she is in the stage of Brahma, Tata Brahma Jigyasa. That means the inquiry has started, because in the heart, the satisfaction of material life is gone. The intention to go back to Godhead is taking place. So therefore, he's asking the question, what to do, how to do, and they will do. So then Prabhupada continues nicely. The human psychology gives rise to many questions, which is how you will ask. Then he also says, many philosophers have also thought about those, and they have given different types of answers. But he says all these are based on mental concoction, because they don't have a proper understanding through disciplic succession. So that is not how we get out of this consequence material lifestyle. So how do you do it? You approach a spiritual master. Tad vignartam sadgurum iva vidrichet. Shrotrayam brahmanistam. Samitmani Shrotrayam brahmanistam. That means you come to the spiritual master and do service. And then inquire from him, and he or she will give you the blessings like that, to solve your problems of life. Right? So it's very important. Just like if you cannot fix something, your car, you will go to a mechanic, car mechanic, auto mechanic to fix it. If you have a problem with the house, you look for the people, the contractor's house to try to fix it. Similarly, laptop breaks down, you go down to some computer shop to fix it. So you look for those persons or personalities who know how to fix those things. So the goal of human life, how to use it, how to fix our situation, we therefore have to approach people in the spiritual side. Scientists cannot help you. Most they will say, "I'm sorry, I can't help you," or try this, try that, or maybe in the future we'll fix it. But now I can't fix it. You can die. That's all they want. Thank you. Please make sure when you go out, you pay the bill. But it's okay. You can die.
When you see the bill, you'll die anyway.
Yeah.
So-
That is true. But they make it, this whole thing is a scam actually. So make the bill exorbitant, then you tell my insurance company will pay, so I'm happy. So the insurance company takes that amount, gives 10% to the doctors, and the rest they pocket. And you think your insurance company is God, help you. It's all a scheme. The caution need not be. They calculate sometimes a $30 doctor charges is exponentially increased to $300. So then the doctor gets $100, so he makes $70 profit, and then the other guys make $200. That's the insurance. That's what it is. Insurance means that's what. So anyway, that's now. So you have to solve those problems. Don't keep taking birth. So we become serious in inquiry. Serious means you will, when the instruction is given, you will act on it. That is serious. And that's being sincere. Okay? So even ordinary activities you all are doing, sometimes you get something positive and sometimes negative. So Prabhupada says one will first consider gain and loss. Right? Okay, I'm going to buy a car. Okay, right? You'll say which place gives a discount better, or options, what they have extra things in the car, like that. Deals, yeah. But actually, the cars may be very cheap. Each dealer may have jacked up the price, and you don't even know who's giving the right price. It's like a chance. The guy will give you so many things, and you calculate, okay, I'm getting something, and they will only say the positive thing. They say you're getting 5,000, but they won't tell you that I'm actually cheating you out of 20,000. So the car you spend maybe 20,000, but actually dealers got it for 7,000 probably. And then they'll say, I'll give you extra, all those gadgets, speakers, MP3 player. And you think, wow, MP3 player. It's all schemes again, schemes after schemes after schemes. So Prabhupada says, and he kind of telling us, if you are intelligent, please consider the entire process of material existence, then act intelligently, following the directions of the bona fide spiritual master. So we should act properly, help each other, guide each other, help each other to also do devotional practices properly. Text 48.
तस्मादर्थाश्च कामाश्च
तस्मादर्थाश्च कामाश्च
धर्माश्च यदपाश्रयाः
धर्माश्च यदपाश्रयः
भजतानीह आत्मानां
भजतानीहयात्मानम्
अनीहं हरिमीश्वरम्
अनीहं हरिमीश्वरम्.
Four principles of advancement in spiritual life, dharma, artha, kama, and moksha, all depend on the disposition of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, my dear friends, follow in the footsteps of devotees, without desire, fully dependent upon the disposition of the Supreme Lord, and worship Him, the Super Soul, in devotional service. Prabhupada says these are words of intelligence. Everyone should know that in every stage of life we are dependent upon the Supreme Personality of God. Right? Whatever your karma is, still the Lord has to approve and sanction it. Therefore, the Dharma religion which we accept should be that which is recommended by Prahlad Maharaj. Bhagavata Dharma. Then later on, Srila Prabhupada said we should discharge our occupational duties, right, from the third canto. Karmani evadhikarasma phaleshu kadachna. This one nobody will quote. They will say, I will work for the results. But they won't say that, you're not entitled to the fruits of it. You have the right to perform your prescribed duty, but you're not entitled to the fruits of action. So when you depend on Krishna, then Krishna will arrange in such a way that you will ultimately come to him. Okay, that's the main thing. If you depend on Krishna, whatever results you get is because he feels that the results he is giving you will enable you to come to him. That's how Krishna will do. But if you are working, thinking you will get the results, then you are under the jurisdiction of the material energy, and therefore you will suffer. What's the some CEO is here? Junior CEO. So, in the Prabhupada continues, karma mimamsa philosophy. Where people say, you work really hard and you'll get the results. And we have seen people work hard and they don't get the results. Which concludes that if you work seriously, the results will come automatically. This is not a fact. You're comfortable sitting there or you want to sit there? Yeah? You sure? Don't force yourself. You're most welcome to get out whenever you want. Okay, this is not a fact. It's not that you work hard and you're going to get it. Sometimes I know students, they study hard. They study overnight, they've been studying, and yet when they go to the exams, they freeze. Not that they don't know, they just freeze. And then their results come bad. And then the parents say, you stupid kid. But they know the things, but they cannot freeze because this is the karma. You panic, no? Sometimes you panic, but you know, you go, Mommy, I know, I didn't know why. But that's how life is. So therefore, even if you work hard, sometimes your results won't come automatically. The results actually depend on your previous karma and the jurisdiction of the Supreme Lord, Paramatma. So he allows you to remember Matta Smriti Jnanam Aponam Cha. So therefore, you're sitting there writing this, only you forget. Why, Lord? You can pray like that. Why, Krishna? Why you make me forget? Anyway, I'll do what the best I can. Like that. So it's upon the will of the Supreme. And so when we do devotional service, we depend on the Lord. And Srila Prabhupada says, honestly perform your occupational duties. Just do it truthfully. Don't go and cheat people. Don't do other nonsense. Okay? Don't steal burfi when your mother is not watching. Like that.
So
Okay?
during my exams, I'm thinking about what I was doing actually. So if my exams is 1 month away, so I will actually study that previous 1 month. I will study very nicely, and I'll not take head bath at all. Really, like I have done this.
Yeah.
1.5 months, I won't take head bath because somehow, like nobody told me, but somehow I had in my mind that if I take head bath, I'll forget everything will water. So I'll not take head bath. After the final last exam is done, that day I'll come and take bath.
And everything gone away.
And also on the day of the exam, another thing that I will do is I'll go to the hall. I'll not talk to anybody. Like I'll be like very quiet.
And that's okay. Yeah.
But I used to think that okay, if I talk something to somebody, I'll forget.
Yeah.
So I should just go write the exam and then come back.
Anyway, those are superstitions.
Yeah. Now,
It's not
like when you were
reality.
telling that, I was remembering like
Yeah.
what all I used to do.
Yeah, what all is?
My mother used to actually scold Prabhu
Yeah.
so much chastise. Take head bath. But no, I won't.
So in your mode of ignorance, you did well. That doesn't make sense, no? So that's not how it is. But this is just, we come up with our own theories. Intelligent theories. Oh, this is how it should go. Like that, correct? You make plans, right? If mommy is not here, then I'll do this. They say when the cat is out and then the mice come to play.
So probably in those situations, the parents will be more angry, right? So,
And
like how to react? Like is there karma?
oh, when they come back and tell you it's their karma.
Yeah, like no, they didn't take headbutt and we will frustrated.
But my mother used to be happy because I used to always get first rank, so she was okay. You do whatever you want.
No, this is his own philosophy. Point is, if you train the child to take bath properly, then they will feel uncomfortable not doing those things when they go and take bath. So they will have a head bath. So don't worry. But if they start doing that, then you can tell them, and ask them why they're not doing that.
No, like that, like very other situations, like using the screen and all. Like how like we are like high tempered and they'll be like okay happy doing whatever they want to do. Like how we need to leave it for some time so that they understand by themselves or
No, you can, parent means you have to correct them. So the way you correct is an art also. How you correct. Simply screaming at them is not correcting. Both parties will get eventually frustrated. So sometimes you have to ask them, like you can lead the question, ask them a question, and they will then answer in a way that they'll realize they have made a mistake. That's one way of discussion. The other way also, you can say, for example, you can say this person did this thing and this is the end result. Is this what you want? Things like that. And from a young child where you can chastise heavily to as a child grows, the child is maturing. And so at a certain point, you have to stop treating them like a baby first. But you have to treat them like your friend eventually. So when they come to a mature age, like maybe the girls are 16, 17, then you have to treat like your friend. But when they're younger than that, they have to listen, so you have to be a bit more stricter. Right? So the relationship from a child to an adult changes throughout the years. But at the same time, the parent is teaching the child, and the parent will know the child has learned. And after a certain time, you will also know, I have taught already this thing. This child cannot understand this thing. So then you have to withdraw the force that you're using, because the eventual result is going to be the same. Frustration and anger on both parties. At that moment, you will have to come to a conclusion. Lord, I've tried all these methods. Only method I haven't tried is gunpoint, but maybe I won't do that, like that. Yeah. So then you just say, okay, Lord, I've tried it. And now they are mature enough to understand the consequences. Generally about 16, 17, 18, they take all the reaction. When they are born, you take the reaction. But after, when they are sufficiently developed, they know what is right and wrong, they continue to take reactions. Like that. So at a certain point, you can advise, you become an advisor. That's all you can do. But in the beginning, you can take a stick and chastise them, but you don't have to use it. If you have to use it, means it's drastic already. Like that. Right, so in devotional service, we all take it up. Some of us are serious, some are not. But Prahlad Maharaj advises his friends to become serious. His point is you have to completely depend on Krishna. So according to our level of advancement, we will depend sometime on not, right? So when we want to, like he was saying, exam time, then only Krishna exists. After exam, Krishna can go in the closet, like that. So it's like that. We all have different view of our performing Krishna consciousness. Text 49.
सर्वेषामपि भूतानां हरेरात्मेश्वर प्रियः भूतैर्महद्विश्वकृतैः कृतानां जीव संनितः.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, is the soul and the super soul of all living entities. Every living entity is a manifestation of his energy in terms of the living soul and the material body. Therefore, the Lord is the most dear, and he is the supreme controller. He is with you in your body, so he is very dear to you. He cares about you, is dear to you. you are an expansion of him. You are his children. And so therefore, you're always dear to the Lord. But what we need to understand is he is the supreme person and you are just a jiva. So here in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains how the Lord has three kinds of energies. The Bahiranga Shakti, which is the material energy. The spiritual energy is Antaranga Shakti. And the marginal is Tatastha Shakti. And he is the source of all of them. The Tatastha Shakti is who we are. All of us are living entities. We are the marginal entity. But still, when we come into this material world to enjoy, he comes with us as a super soul. Why? Because he's worried about us. Like your parents worried when you go for prom or whatever all by yourself. Your parents are worried what happens. So sometimes the parents will come there disguised as the janitor or what, to spy on the child. Yeah, cases happen like that because they are worried. So similarly, the Lord comes as a super soul to make sure we go back to Krishna. Like that. Yeah. So now you have a daughter, you'll be worried. It is like that, You start worrying, one day she'll grow up, she'll go, oh, my heart, They all feel like that. We read, right? Earlier, the father is more closer to the daughter than the mother.
Moms are like villains.
But actually, the mom will become the best friend. Supposed to be. Yeah, so he's in the heart and directing and wondering of the living entities. Yantra Ruddhani Maya. So our body becomes a machine where we think we can control it to what best we can. Actually, it really doesn't work that way. We can only do as much as we can according to our karma. So you can even see some athletes, very good athletes, they have diabetes. How you answer? How can you answer, right? You see, but they're always exercising. Still, they have to take the shots. So we can't simply think that, if you exercise, I will be healthy, right? So you see all these old people going in the street like that, thinking that they become more healthy and live for another 100 years. But you never know, they'll trip and crack their crown. And that's the end of their life. No, but it's reality. It's all foolish theories we come up and think, you do some exercise. Like Prabhupada said, just do now a nice walk and brisk walks and keep your health to some. Eat little, don't overeat, don't eat too little, don't eat too much, don't sleep too much, don't sleep too little also. So don't stay up to 1 a.m. texting, what's up? What's up? What's up? Right? You still do that? Sometimes. So then that's how life is, You have to be careful, we don't know. And then we get tired. Then the next day, the parents say, get up. They say, I'm so tired. But in the meantime, they don't know what the midnight leelas they were doing. It's like that. The Supreme Lord is the dearmost object of all living entities. Paramatma knows everything. Prahlad Maharaj therefore advised his class friends, the sons of the demons, to take shelter of the Lord because the Lord is dear to us. That's what we have to understand. He's trying to tell him, he's so dear to you. He loves you. That's his point. So love him back. Text 50.
Devo suro manushyo va yaksho gandharva eva va bhajan mukunda charanam swasti man syad yatha vayam.
If a demigod, demon, human being, yaksha, gandharva, or anyone within this universe renders service to the lotus feet of Mukunda, who can deliver liberation. Mukunda means one who can deliver liberation. He's actually situated in the most auspicious condition of life, exactly like us, the Mahajans, headed by Prahlad Maharaj. So he's giving his own example, saying how he is engaged in devotional service. And he's encouraging everyone to take shelter of Mukunda, to become perfect and to get auspiciousness. That's real fortune. For us, fortune means we think there's some treasure, gold or what. I read recently one man, I forgot his name, I should have written it down, that he has a lot of good fortune. So he has buried it somewhere in Colorado. So, and then he has written a book where he gives clues.
Oh, yeah. A lot of people actually started searching for that and they died.
Yeah, people go to Colorado mountains and then try to look for it, and some people have died looking for it. So he has given another clue recently, so to make it easier. But he's already 80 something, 82 years old. So yeah, so that you can see people think fortune means those kind of things, some money or what. But look what it leads to people. No? They go there and they die unnecessarily. But best is take shelter of Krishna. Worship him daily, asking him to protect you, guide you. He will do that. Last two verses, no. Text 51, 52.
Nalam dvijatvam devatvam
Nalam dvijatvam devatvam
Vishitvam vasuratmajah
Vishitvam vasuratmaja
Vrinanaya mukundasya
Vinaya Mukundasya
Vrittam na bahugnata
Nadam Napahunyata
Nadanam na tapopnejya
Nadanam Natapunejya
Na shaucham na vritani cha
Nasaucham Navritani cha
Priyate malaya bhaktya
Priyate Malaya Bhaktya
Harir anyat vidambanam
Hare Ranya Vidambanam.
My dear friends, O sons of the demons, you cannot please the Supreme Personality of Godhead by becoming perfect brahmanas, demigods, or great saints, or by becoming perfectly good in etiquette or vast learning. None of these qualifications can awaken the pleasure of the Lord, nor by charity, austerity, sacrifice, cleanliness, or vows can one satisfy the Lord. The Lord is pleased only if one has unflinching, unalloyed devotion to Him. Without sincere devotional service, everything is simply a show. So that's actually, it may seem difficult, but what he is trying to say is you have to develop affection, develop love.
Love towards the Lord.
By doing devotional service, you will develop love. Simply by hearing about Krishna, if you hear nicely and properly, you will develop affection for him. Who's a good example? No, Narad Muni. You can say Narad Muni.
Prahlad Maharaj.
Prahlad Maharaj. Yeah. Who else?
Dhruva Maharaj.
Huh?
Dhruva Maharaj didn't hear the instructions.
Hear about Krishna.
Parikshit
Parikshit
Maharaj.
Maharaj.
Parikshit, after he had settled, the example I'm thinking of is Rukmini.
Yeah.
Right? She heard about it and she completely gave her.
Just by hearing.
Yeah, just by hearing. So the same way, when we hear sufficiently and we hear for the right reasons we hear, we will develop affection for Krishna. It must take place. If it doesn't take place, there's something wrong with us. The process works. We contaminate the process. So therefore, Prabhupada says, if one sincerely engages in the service of the Lord, his Krishna consciousness is complete. Okay? So just do it nicely and don't worry about so much things. Be happy to serve Krishna. The reason we always get disturbed in our Krishna consciousness is because we see the fruitive thing behind it, some results. Because we want to do it to show off. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj says everything is simply a show. Right? Even when we dress the deities, we come down and say, ask people, right? 10 people how the deity looks. I dress. Right? The tendency is there.
There is one more devotee. He dressed very nicely. He asked him. He never says he did it.
Right.
We know he did it.
Yeah.
Or
That's
Dharmananda never accepted he did it.
So it is said that when we are dressing, it's actually the spiritual master and the deity themselves are dressing. So we are just assisting. So when people say you dress nicely, no, I assisted. Yeah. But thanks anyway.
Thanks on the behalf of Krishna.
Like that. Yeah. So Krishna is always kind. He's always wanting to help us come to him. So whatever we do, we should do it very well, but we shouldn't think that because we do very well, Krishna loves me. No, we should do it with love. And the interesting thing is you can do it for many lifetimes and Krishna may not even reciprocate. That's the challenge. So if you continuously do, then Krishna will say, I am caught by your love. I cannot repay you anymore. So he'll always bribe you by giving you material facilities. Oh no, but that's how. So you become happy with the material things, you forget him. So then we have to be very careful. But if you make a mistake and you go away, he will also come to help you. Because he knows you love him. Like that. So then that's why Prabhupada quotes Apichit Sudha Rachata. That means you may accidentally fall down sometimes when in the beginning stage. But if you are fixed in your Krishna consciousness, you will become saintly eventually. Right? So the religion means what? No.
Love of God.
Not love of God. Means to, what do you say this is? Loving
Love.
God. Religion means it teaches you how to love God. It's not anything else. It's not fighting, going to crusades and all. It's not that. That's the after effect of that. Religion means when you study religious principles, you should develop the principles behind how to love God. That's the important part. So then he quotes the verse from Srimad Bhagavatam in the second chapter, the first canto. Again he says, if you do not have attraction for the message of the Lord, that means if you don't develop love of God, whatever you do in your life is useless.
Shrama eva hi keva.
Shama eva hi keva. So that's a good thing to contemplate actually. Text 53.
Tato haro bhagavati
Tato haro bhagavati
bhaktim kuruta danavaha
bhaktim kuruta danava
atma upamyema sarvatra
atmaupamyena sarvatra
sarvabhutatmanishvare.
sarvabhutatmanishvare.
My dear friends or sons of the demons, in the same favorable way that one sees himself and takes care of himself, take to devotional service to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is present everywhere as the super soul of all living entities. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada, in the first paragraph, he says, Atmo Pamyena. He refers to it just as one's own self. Thinking others to be like oneself. Okay? One can very intelligently conclude that without devotional service, without becoming Krishna conscious, one cannot be happy. So the definition here is true happiness, not material happiness. Material happiness is temporary. You get a good report card, you're happy for one day, maybe a week, your parents will buy you a new iPhone X or whatever, 10, then you're happy, but that's the end of it. And then next week, you did mistake, they will take away the privilege. So that is temporary happiness. Real happiness is you constantly feel joyful. So when we practice, we find that one way that we feel continuous happy is when we preach. So you take the opportunity to give Krishna consciousness to others who you feel is innocent or who needs help. Of course, not everyone will take it up, but you should at least attempt to help them. If we don't feel happiness in Krishna consciousness, we actually don't really have true happiness. And the other things, if you don't have true happiness, you'll also experience unhappiness. Most of the time, we are not happy, right? You work, you come, you go to school, you come back, right? It's boring, no? And you are not happy actually. Right or not? You're bored, right? Then why are you sleeping? So preaching is helpful to elevate that consciousness. If you can't preach, then go to the temple, do some service. If you can't do that, then at least read Srila Prabhupada's books. If you can't do that, then listen to his tapes. If you can't do that, I don't know what to say.
Best wishes.
At least sit and chant Hare Krishna. So the true benefit, the self-interest is, as Mahaprabhu says, para upakara. Janma sarta kari kara para upakara. So everyone is suffering, so we should help them. Particularly, he says, people born from Bharata Bhumi. So if you are from India, Jai Bharata, right? That's what
Bharat
they say.
Mata Ki Jai.
Mataji ki Jai. So you better go and preach. So go out on Harinam or whatever. Text 54.
Daiteya yaksha rakshamsi striya shudra rajaukashaha khaga mruga papa jivaha shantihi achyutam gataha achyutatam gataha.
All my friends are sons of demons, everyone, including you, the Yakshas and Rakshasas, the unintelligent women, Shudras and cowherd men, the birds, the lower animals, and the sinful living entities can revive his original, eternal spiritual life and exist forever simply by accepting the principles of Bhakti. So here Prabhupada says devotees known as Achyuta Gotra, because we all are under the protection of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is known as Achyuta because he is infallible. And if we follow the Lord nicely, we also become infallible. So we won't fall down anymore. And then he continues, although Prahlad's mother was in the conditional state and was the wife of a demon, even yakshas, rakshasas, women, shudras, and even birds and other lower living entities can be elevated to the Achyuta Gotra, the family of the Supreme Personality of God. That is the highest perfection. As Krishna never fails, when we revive our spiritual consciousness, Krishna consciousness, we never fall again to material existence. Provided you are always thinking of Krishna. If you only spend 10% of your day in Krishna consciousness and 90% otherwise, then you will always be in material consciousness. The trick is to see everything centered around Krishna. Then you will always won't fall down consciousness. Okay. So Madhvacharya says in the last paragraph, Achyutatam Achyuti Varjanam. The word Achyutatam refers to one who never falls to this material world but always remains in the Vaikuntha world, fully engaged in the service of the Lord. So whether you are in the material world, if you serve the Lord every day nicely, you are considered to be in Vaikuntha also. That means spiritualized, so to speak. Text 55.
एतावान् एव लोकेऽस्मिन्
एतावान् एव लोकेऽस्मिन्
पुंसस्वार्थपरस्मृतः
पुंसः स्वार्थः परस्मृतः
एकान्तभक्तिर्गोविन्दे
एकान्तभक्तिर्गोविन्दे
यत्सर्वत्र तदीक्षणम्
यत्सर्वत्र तदीक्षणम्.
In this material world, to render service to the lotus feet of Govinda, the cause of all causes, and to see him everywhere is the only goal of life. This much alone is the ultimate goal of human life as explained by all the revealed scriptures. So Prabhupada uses Ekanta Bhakti Govinda to say that unalloyed, one-pointed service of the Lord. If you see him behind everything, it's easy to do your devotional service actually. So it's only a matter of changing your consciousness slightly, adjust. Then you'll see that you're doing service for the Lord nicely. You can have a lot of invites from your friends and so on, but you think, Lord, I want to help these people, so I'm going to cook nicely so that you can bless them. So you're always seeing Krishna involved in your activities also. So Sarvatra Tadikshanam, Prabhupada says, describe the highest perfection of devotional service. Everything connected to Govinda's head. Nirbandha Krishna Sambandha. So we say everything connected. That way you stop any reactions. Okay. In the next paragraph, Srila Prabhupada says the Mahabhagavata everywhere he immediately sees manifest the form of the Supreme Lord. That means he sees the Lord in the heart of every living entity. Even in this material world, a devotee does not see materially manifested things. Instead, he sees Govinda in everything. When he sees a tree or a human being, a devotee sees them in relation to Govinda. Then you go outside, it's a beautiful day. You look at the sun, you say, Krishna is so beautiful. You know? He get that. So you connect to Krishna immediately. So enjoying the sun, so good. You can say, look, Krishna is giving me the sun and I'm benefiting. So it's just a slight change in consciousness. So then you become real sun worshippers, Surya Narayana. Otherwise you'll be a reptile, Right? Most people, I remember when I was in college, every time the sun comes out in winter time, everybody will go and lie down. And it reminded me of the Galapagos Island where the iguanas would come out and take the sun like that. It's fascinating. Every time, it never failed. So you have to say, like that, you have to connect with Krishna, everything. So interestingly, Prabhupada says, everything is an expansion of Narayana's energy, just as those who are greedy see everything as a source of money making, and those who are lusty see everything as being conducive to sex. The most perfect devotee, Prahlad Maharaj, saw Narayana even within a stone column. It's coming next act. Then Prabhupada ends up again angry with these people to single out the Daridra Narayana or poor Narayana and reject the Dani Narayana or rich Narayana is not the vision of a devotee. Because it's very common in India. Daridra Narayana, South Indians, they say it's not the vision of a devotee. Rather, that is the imperfect vision of a materialistic person. It's a Mayavadi concept to think Narayana has become poor like that. Okay? Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 7th canto, 7th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam entitled What Prahlad Learned in the Womb. So 7755. Four digit. People play numbers. The Chinese have to do this. Thank you. See you guys. Okay, we'll continue. Chapter 8. Lord Narasimhadev slays the king of the demons. So now is coming the main act. The act everyone is waiting for. Right? Everybody wants to say Narasimhadev kill Hiranyakashipu. Why? Huh?
You like this?
We like it. Huh? It's good to see, right? It's good. Actually, it's good to see the demon killed by the Lord. It's very auspicious. Not that we want to see people being killed, but if the Lord is killing, it's fascinating. It's beneficial for the person he kills, and for all those who are also looking, it's beneficial. Another reason why we are happy that Narasimhadev is going to kill Hiranyakashipu means we can break fast. As devotees, right? We are just waiting. Because always it takes so long, no? Narasimhadev, Chaturasi.
Yeah.
Breakfast go up to 9 o'clock. What time they do here?
After dusk.
Daswati, right?
After dusk.
Dusk.
That time you killed, right?
No, today, this year it was
8:27.
8:27.
Yeah. So here was 8:27. In Houston, it was 8:06. Right?
The sunset.
It's longer here.
How they remember the time.
No, because
Sunset.
So then in Alaska,
sunset.
there is no sunset at all.
Yeah, exactly.
They have to wait for the 6 months. Alaska. Alaska.
Northernmost side, the
Northern.
sun doesn't set in
Yeah,
the
northern
summertime.
hemisphere.
Yeah, that's why you have to wear watches. Sunset. Done.
In Alaska, you want to come to it.
Exactly.
For breaking the fast.
No, for that.
So, your merciful history. He's been killed in India, right? So follow that time.
That's what most Indians do. We follow according to the nakshatra in which continent.
It happened in India, so it was just previous days. So
Exactly, yeah, just follow that time.
last year.
Anyway, we don't do that. We follow. Alaska, I think, like he said, come down to Toronto or somewhere to break fast. Then go X1.
श्रीनारद उवाच
श्रीनारद उवाच
यथा दैत्यसुता सर्वे
तथा दैत्यः सदा सर्वे
श्रुत्वा तत् अनुवर्णितम्
श्रुत्वा
जगृहुर्निरवद्यत्तात्वान् नैव कुर्वनु अनुशिक्षितम्.
Narada Muni continued. All the sons of the demons appreciated the transcendental instructions of Prahlad Maharaj and took them very seriously. They rejected the materialistic instructions given by their teachers, Shanda and Amarka. Now, this is what happens if you are qualified preacher. You're very qualified, immediately people appreciate because they know you're their well-wisher. The preacher means you have to show that you are their well-wisher. They must feel that. And when they feel that, they will listen to what you're saying. And then the preaching becomes effective. So that's what in the purport of Prabhupada says. So when you hear from devotees who are in that consciousness, Prabhupada therefore quotes this verse from 3rd canto, Satam Prasanga Mama Vidya Sambuddha. When you hear from such a person, it is very pleasing to the ear and appealing to the heart. Very pleasing. You know they are your well-wisher. And then you get inspired in Krishna conscious and you'll practice the process in your life. And Prabhupada says you'll be successful in going back to God. So similarly, by the grace of Srila Prabhupada and his disciples, all of us have been very fortunate. So we should take up nicely the process. And shouldn't hear from teachers like Shanda and Amarka. Text 2.
हताचार्यासु तस्तेषाम्
अथाचार्यासु तस्तेषां
बुद्धिम् एकान्तसंस्थिताम्
बुद्धिमेकान्तसंस्थिताम्
आलक्ष्य भीतस्त्वरितो
आलक्ष्यभीतस्त्वरितो
राज्ञा आवेदयद् यथा.
When Shanda and Amarka, the sons of Sukracharya, observed that all the students, the sons of the demons, were becoming advanced in Krishna consciousness because of the association of Prahlad Maharaj, they were afraid. They approached the king of the demons and described the situation as it was. Why were they afraid? They were afraid that Hiranyakashipu will kill them or take away the money. More than worse than that is kill them. Anyway, they were not happy, so they did a proactive, right? So the proactive action is tell Hiranyakashipu before he finds her. Yeah, that's what they did. It's proaction. They approached the king of the demons and described, look, it's not our fault. It's your son. Text 3 and 4.
कोपावेश च लद्गात्रः पुत्रं हन्तुं मनोददे क्षिप्त्वा परुषया वाच प्रह्लादं मददर्हणम् आहेक्षमानः पापेन तिरश्चीनेन चक्षुषा प्रश्रयावनन्तं दान्तं बद्धाञ्जलिम् अवस्थितं सर्पपादाहता इव स्वशन् प्रकृतिदारुणः.
When Hiranyakashipu understood the entire situation, he was extremely angry. So much so that his body trembled. So some people can tremble, when they get angry. Some people I've seen it. Because personally, if I get angry, I won't tremble at all. But when I see them, I wonder how angry they are. Like volcano, about to erupt. So Hiranyakashipu became so angry. Thus, he finally decided to kill his son Prahlad. He had wanted to kill first time already. So 2 chances, strike 3 and you are out. That's what it is. So this is the 3rd time. So he is now wanting to kill. Hiranyakashipu was by nature very cruel. And feeling insulted, he began hissing like a snake, trampled upon by someone's foot. His son Prahlad was peaceful, mild, and gentle. His senses were under control, and he stood before Hiranyakashipu with folded hands. So he was worshipping his own father. According to Prahlad's age and behavior, he was not to be chastised. So you don't chastise at that age. Yet, with staring, crooked eyes. So next time people have crooked eyes, you know what kind of people they are. Hiranyakashipu rebuked him with the following harsh words. So angry, the eyes also became crooked. It's popping up. That's what it is. Now the main thing here, Srila Prabhupada highlights is one cannot get angry with the devotee. Just like Daksha, he got angry with Narada. Right? So here also, Prabhupada says when one is impudent toward a highly authorized devotee, one is punished by the laws of nature. So then what are the things that can happen? Your life can be diminished, the blessings of your predecessors can be taken away, whatever pious activities you have will be also gone. So you have to be very careful when you are rude to someone who's advanced in Krishna consciousness. So at all times, take the humble position. Otherwise, you will lose all that you have gained. Laws of nature. Even though he was given the boon, the laws of nature act separately, and it can take away your life, your duration, anything. So that is set up by the Lord like that. So we should be very careful how we deal with devotees, because there will be some natural reaction otherwise. Text 5.
श्रीहिरण्यकशिपुरुवाच
श्रीहिरण्यकशिपुरुवाच
हे दुर्विनीतमन्दात्मन् कुलभेदकराधम स्तब्धं मच्छासनोद्धृत्वं नेष्ये त्वाद्ययमक्षयम्.
Hiranyakashipu said, "O most impudent, most unintelligent disruptor of the family, O lovers of mankind, you have violated my power to rule you. and therefore you are an obstinate fool. Today I shall send you to the place of Yamaraj. So his father is telling the son, once is kill him. So it's interesting in this purport, Srila Prabhupada actually uses Vishwanath Chakravarti to highlight that all the words that Hiranyakashipu spoke, he says the goddess of learning, Saraswati, has changed the meaning in a different way. So when you read it, it's very interesting. So he says that Du refers to this material world. So this is confirmed by Lord Krishna in his instructions in Bhagavad Gita that this material world is Du Kalayam, full of material condition. V means Vishesha, specifically, and Nita means brought in. So by the mercy of the Supreme Lord, Prahlad Maharaj was especially brought to this material world to teach people how to get out of the material condition. So that's amazing, huh? And it makes sense. So in the next paragraph, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur further explains that the word Mandadman means Manda, very bad or very slow in spiritual realization. So Manda, Sumanda Mate, Manda Bhag. Prahlad Maharaj is the guide of all the Mandas or bad living entities who are under the influence of Maya. So he is our well-wisher, benefactor for all this bad. Then Kula Beda Karadama, by his actions, Prahlad Maharaj made great personalities who established big families seem insignificant. Everyone is interested in his own family in making his dynasty famous. But Prahlad Maharaj wasn't like that. He was so liberal, he didn't make any distinction between one from another. Sometimes people say only from this family you can do this. He wasn't. That means bhakti is for everybody. There's no caste, no family lineage. Bhakti is for everyone. So comparing with that, he is greater than even the Prajapatis, because the Prajapatis established their dynasties. Oh, I am this Vamsa, right? I'm Brigu Vamsa, and this Vamsa. We are all what Vamsa? Achyuta Gotras. Prabhupada already gave us. That's very nice. And then he doesn't care for what the instructions his father was trying to give him also. He remains silent, meaning he only cares about the instructions of Krishna. So he wasn't stubborn in the wrong way, but rather he was thinking about how to please the Lord. Then Chashanot Vritam, Prahlad Maharaj was disobedient to the orders of his demoniac father, but not to the instructions of Krishna. Yamakshayam. Every conditioned soul is under the control of Yamaraj. But Hiranyakashipu said that he considered Prahlad Maharaj his deliverer. For Prahlad Maharaj, or Prahlad would stop Hiranyakashipu's reputation of birth and death. So that is the twist in the word Yamakshayam. Because Prahlad Maharaj, being a great devotee, was better than any yogi, Hiranyakashipu was to be brought under the society of Bhakti yogis. That's how powerful he is. So Prabhupada says this is an interesting interpretation from Saraswati, the goddess of learning. Text 6.
Kruddasya yasya kampante trayo loka saheshwaraha tasya me abhitavan mudha sashanam kim balotyagaha.
My son Prahlada, you rascal, you know that when I am angry, all the planets of the three worlds tremble along with their chief rulers. By whose power has a rascal like you become so impudent that you appear fearless and overstep my power to rule you? So he's thinking he can control the whole world. But actually, Krishna is in control. And he cannot see that. So he's asking Prahlad, who's a devotee, Who's giving you the power? Who do you think you are? Generally, people get angry. They say, "Who do you think you are?" So that's what he's asking his son. And he's also worried because he says, "You appear fearless." So he's worried that his son has more power than he has because he's fearing now.
Hmm.
So Prabhupada says, Krishna already said, the devotee don't have to fear because Kantaya Pradijana Name Bhakta Pranashyati. So that should give us faith that we should be fearless in giving Krishna to others. But we have to say it in such a way we don't hurt people, or don't make them angry, or don't make them blow themselves up. Like that. Okay? So Prabhupada says he won't declare himself, but rather he lets his devotee declare. Why? Because he can change his mind, Krishna. Because he is Swara, independent. But when the devotee says, the Lord likes to please the devotee. That's the reason. So here, Hiranyakashipu is in Prabhupada says, in a perplexed condition. Because he cannot figure out why this little boy has so much fearlessness. He cannot understand that. And he was beginning to fear himself. He's thinking this boy will kill me if I let him live. Whose strength do you have? Because he tried so many things and the boy cannot be killed. So he's wondering whose strength here. So that's his question. Text 7.
Sri Prahlada Uvacha
श्रीप्रह्लादुवाच
Na kevalam me bhavatascha rajan
न केवलं मे भवतश्च राजन्
Savai balam balinam chaparesham
सवै बलं बलीनां चापलेशम्
Vare vare mi stira jangamaye
परे परे निजगमाये
Brahmadayo yena vasham pranitaha
ब्रह्मादयो येन वशं प्रणीतः.
Moving and non-moving. Prahlad Maharaj said, my dear king, the source of my strength of which you are asking is also the source of yours. Good answer. So I'm getting the same power as you got. Indeed, the original source of all kinds of strength is one. It's not only your strength or mine, but the only strength for everyone. Without him, no one can get any strength. But the moving or not moving, superior or inferior, everyone, including Lord Brahma, is controlled by the strength of the Supreme Personality of God. So here he says Brahma Adaya to indicate to him, you just because you got the boon from Brahma, it doesn't mean he's superior to Narayan. So he's educating him at the same time. So he's saying even Brahma gets his strength from the Supreme Person. So indirectly he's saying this, why you are fool. So such is intelligent Prahlad Maharaj. So the Lord is full of power, potency and power. And so this is a very nice verse that Prabhupada quotes. Yad yad vibhuti mat sattvam srimad urjitam eva va tatta deva vagachatvam mamate jamsa sambhavam. Right? Know that all beautiful, glorious and mighty creations spring from but a spark of my splendor. That means he's so powerful. Is extraordinarily powerful. Just a spark, right? If you have a big flame, like in your home you have a fireplace, you can see small spark come out of big flame. So he says just one spark of my potency can overcome this entire creation. So it's mind-boggling. We cannot even actually appreciate what the Lord is saying. But it's so beautiful. But a spark of my splendor. So then Prabhupada then tells us how, different types of fire we have seen, and all of them getting the heat and light from the sun. For example, wood, right? The plant gets all the energy from the sun, and then when it dies and dries up, the energies are still in the form of the wood. And when you burn it, you get the fire and so on. So different things are like that. And the plants, you get the grains. So the grains, newly harvested grains, contain a lot of the potency of the sun, energy. So you cannot eat newly harvested grain. Your body cannot digest this. So therefore, in the old Vedic culture, they keep it for sometime 1 year,
Mm.
and then you consume. Otherwise, your digestion, Jatagni, cannot take the heat produced. Instead, you'll become sick. So part of the problem nowadays, people always buy fresh, everything fresh. Fresh means good, but not always. So that grains will not be sufficient. So one way to overcome it is to soak it overnight before you cook it, like that. So we understand like that. So many things are there. So one's only duty is to surrender, and then you become a servant, and then you understand Krishna's position very nicely. Otherwise, you don't have the intelligence. Otherwise, you act for your senses. And Prabhupada says all those who act on their senses are buddhas.
Mm.
And then you're not intelligent. Like that. So to come to this position, to understanding and to surrender, some Mahatma Sudurlabha. So it takes many, many lifetimes to come to this stage of surrender. So in one sense, all of us must have gone through so many lifetimes because we are here trying to take shelter of Krishna. As to how much we want to surrender is a question each of you have to ask yourself, because no one can force you. Here, Prahlad Maharaj wasn't worried because he's completely surrendered. So he knows he doesn't have to ask the Lord anything. If the Lord wants, he will save him. If the Lord doesn't want, he won't save him. He is not fearless at all. So therefore, such a great soul is very rare. Samahatma Sudurlabha. Because he knows the Lord will protect him under all circumstances. Okay, so we'll stop here. Tomorrow we'll continue text 8. The next few chapters are pretty long. So